So most people start at wholesaling to move into flipping. And the reason why I do this, actually, I'm going to make a video on this, is because you don't know what you don't know until you get into it. And almost every single time you run repair costs, it's going to be, let's say you think it's going to be 10 grand, it's really going to be 15 grand. You think it's going to be 25 grand, it's going to be like 33 grand. So it's always way more, just so you do know. And it's always going to take you way more time and way more money. It's the optimism in the mind that makes you want to try to make a deal fit. So just know, if you're trying to make numbers work, to make a deal work, it's not a deal. Deals just naturally work where it's like a no-brainer. I have no risk. I was always scared too, because I was in debt. When I started my business, I was like going on 100K in debt. I had to be very careful not to make a mistake. And so what I did was I started wholesaling properties. But what I did was I built relationships with the people that are buying them from me. And so I would figure out what they did. So there's one particular property in North Richland Hills that I remember completely changed my perspective, because in my mind, I ran the repair costs on doing a full renovation. I mean, tearing the old cabins out, doing all the new floors and everything, and then running it to full market comps. And I made a decent wholesale deal on it. He made a massive check because he sold the property for what I thought it'd sell for fully renovated, and he did like a partial rehab. And what I did was I went back into the MLS. I looked at the photos and all the work that he did on it. All he did was pretty much sand down and paint the cabinets. He didn't even change the floors out, and he got full price for it. So he did like about a third of the rehab that I thought. And so what you want to do is, as you start wholesaling deals, get all the photos, track them, kind of have your idea of what it would have cost to do that renovation, and keep those numbers down as if you had done the flip, and kind of practice running through the deal as if you're flipping it, just so you have an idea of expenses. Then sell it to somebody, watch what they do with it, then go watch what the property sells for. So now you're getting the market data that you would have taking the risk yourself, and you'll be surprised what people do. And especially seasoned investors, because sometimes they're going to way under repair it or way over repair it. Sometimes they're going to take the top off the house and what's called pop the top and build a second floor on it. Sometimes they knock out the back wall and build an addition out on it because the price per square foot. So what I had to do was build my confidence in watching the rehabbers I was selling the properties to, what they did with them. And then I really kind of study my buyer pool. But it's very dangerous unless you've done it before, especially in a market like we're in right now. I wouldn't just jump into like heavy renovation. So I would either wholesale the property as it is, or find a lender and wholesale it through the MLS, is what I call them. So I actually have videos on my Investor Army channel talking about this. Even after you pay the front end points, closing costs, put it on the MLS, pay back end points and closing costs and realtor fees, because you can find those buyers that don't put the labor costs, like I was talking about on the phone. You can actually make more net doing it that way. But I'd only do that with like sub 200, sub 250 price points. I wouldn't try to get crazy on high price points. But the fastest check in the real estate business is either wholesale check or a buyer lead, an inbound buyer lead coming in, or the easiest check, meaning to go find someone that needs to buy a house, find them, represent them, is probably the easiest check, a buyer lead on the sales side. And then the second easiest check would be a wholesale deal like you're trying to do. And then the third easiest check would be a listing deal. And then you start moving into not of ease, but what's the size of the deal. That's when you start looking into value add plays, flipping the house. Are you gonna do creative financing and stuff like that? So if you're trying on the sales side, the buyer check's faster. And then on the investment side, the wholesale check is the fastest check you're gonna get. You'll need to build your buyers list up. When you finally find a motivated seller, they're a very unique person with a very unique situation. It doesn't matter if you text them, call them, whatever. It just matters that you get in front of them and they're gonna run to you because they're in a bad spot. Now, kind of give you an idea, when I started my business, one of the ways I went broke and how I went into debt was because I spent a bunch of money on marketing, doing direct mail, marketing strategies that I had no familiarity with. I started doing things that I thought other people were doing because that's what these people are selling as far as education. It's just not what people think it is. So what happened was, as I was going into debt, I realized that I need to be building my buyers list at the same time. What got me out of it was I built a big buyers list. I didn't find leads myself. I was the distribution side. So other investors were going out there spending all their money generating the leads, and guess what would happen? It's two parts of a transaction. Now I got this deal, but oh crap, I have 10 days, 7 days to sell it, and I have nobody to sell it to. So before you start marketing a lot for deals, you need to have the net with the holes kind of pinched in. The buyers list is the most important thing, because a good buyers list, so like people all think their profit comes from the front side of a wholesale deal or any transaction. So let's say you're good at negotiating and you get the buyer. Let's say most people get the buyer or the seller down from 105 to 100,000, and they're good at negotiating, good at marketing. Now that's a $5,000 drop. But on the buy side, let's say you have a better buyers list. What if you have buyers that will pay 115,000 and only people have one that will pay 105,000 or whatever it is? So you have a profit center on both sides. So how few dollars you spend in marketing, how deeply discounted you can get it by getting in front of good leads and your negotiation ability to get it down. And then how many buyers on your buyers list will pay a premium to the marketplace, meaning how will they pay more than everybody else? So these are going to be your profit centers. Woo!